My father, who has worked in my family company for 12 years, gave it to my estranged sister and her rich fiancé EC instead of me. Then when they left him after his heart beat *CK, he begged for my help. Part 1. The Handover. Growing up, I always knew I would inherit my family's business. It was a legacy built over generations, and my father, John, had groomed me since I was a teenager to take over one day. For 12 years, I worked alongside him, learning the ropes, making sacrifices, and believing that one day it would all be mine. But life has a way of surprising you. When the time finally came for my father to step down, he shocked everyone. Instead of passing the reins to me, he chose to give the company to my estranged sister, Emily, and her wealthy fiancé, C, David. It felt like a betrayal, a sharp twist in the tale I never saw coming. I confronted him, hurt and confused. His explanation was vague, something about securing the company's future and Emily needing a fresh start. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. There was a rift between us, a silence that spoke volumes. He chose to mend fences elsewhere, leaving me on the sidelines. I watched as Emily and David took over, making changes that felt alien to everything we had built together. They brought in their own advisors, restructured departments, and pushed for a modernization that clashed with our traditional values. It was hard to swallow seeing my father's legacy morph into something unrecognizable. Yet I held my tongue, nursing a mix of resentment and disappointment. Part 2. The Strain. As weeks turned into months, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Emily and David seemed oblivious to the strain they were causing within the company. Morale plummeted as longtime employees, loyal to our family's legacy, felt sidelined and undervalued. I struggled to maintain composure, caught between loyalty to my family and the growing resentment towards Emily and David. Meanwhile, my relationship with my father deteriorated. We exchanged polite but strained conversations, avoiding the elephant in the room the company that was once our shared dream, now a battleground of conflicting visions. He seemed distant, preoccupied with justifying his decision, while I struggled to comprehend why he had chosen to alienate me. The breaking point came unexpectedly. One afternoon, I received a frantic call from my father's assistant. He had collapsed at the office, clutching his chest in pain. Rushing to the hospital, fear gnawed at me, overshadowing the bitterness that had festered for months. Seeing him hooked up to machines, pale and vulnerable, shattered the walls I had built around my hurt. Emily and David were nowhere to be seen. Their absence spoke volumes, reinforcing the realization that their loyalty was fleeting, driven by convenience rather than genuine care. In that moment, as I held my father's hand, I understood the depth of his loneliness and regret. He had sacrificed our relationship for a fleeting chance at reconciliation with Emily, only to be abandoned when he needed them most. Part 3. The Aftermath. The days that followed my father's heart attack were a blur of hospital visits, consultations with doctors, and navigating the uncertainty of his recovery. I became his lifeline, managing his affairs while juggling the responsibilities he had entrusted to Emily and David. Their absence during this critical time underscored their true priorities, leaving me to pick up the pieces of a shattered legacy. Despite everything, I couldn't ignore my father's plea for help. His vulnerability stripped away the resentment, leaving only a profound sense of duty and compassion. As he regained strength, we found moments of quiet understanding amidst the chaos. He apologized in his own way, acknowledging the pain his decisions had caused. With each passing day, I assumed a dual role supporting my father's recovery while silently mourning the loss of the future I had envisioned for us. The company continued to operate under Emily and David's leadership, their decisions echoing through every department. Yet amidst the turmoil, a flicker of hope emerged, a tentative bridge between father and son, forged in adversity. As I navigated the complexities of caregiving and corporate politics, I reflected on the fragility of family ties and the price of misplaced trust. Emily and David's ascent to power had revealed their true colors, exposing fractures within our family that no amount of success could mend. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a seed of resilience took root, a determination to salvage what remained of my father's legacy, not just for myself, but for the loyal employees who had stood by us. Part 4. Rebuilding Trust. In the aftermath of my father's heart attack, a fragile truce settled between us. His recovery became my priority, and as he regained strength, we found solace in shared moments of reminiscence and reconciliation. The bitterness that had clouded our relationship began to dissipate, replaced by a mutual understanding of the mistakes made and the wounds inflicted. Meanwhile, the dynamics at the company continued to shift. Emily and David, emboldened by their newfound authority, implemented sweeping changes aimed at modernizing operations and expanding market reach. While their strategies showed initial promise, the undercurrent of discontent among longtime employees persisted. They struggled to reconcile the abrupt departure from our family's traditional values with the pursuit of profit-driven decisions. For my part, I navigated a delicate balancing act VDJ, supporting my father's aspirations for the company's future while safeguarding its foundational ethos. Together, we forged a tentative alliance, drawing strength from our shared commitment to preserving the integrity of our family's legacy. It was a daunting task, fraught with challenges and uncertainties, yet rooted in a deep-seated belief in the resilience of our bond. As months passed, I assumed a more active role within the company, leveraging my experience and insight to bridge the gap between past and present. Slowly, trust began to rebuild among employees who had weathered the tumultuous transition. They recognized my unwavering dedication to their well-being and the company's long-term sustainability, fostering a renewed sense of unity and purpose. Amidst the ongoing transformation, I found myself grappling with conflicting emotions, gratitude for my father's recovery, intertwined with lingering sorrow over the rift that had marred our relationship. The scars of betrayal and abandonment ran deep, yet they served as a poignant reminder of the fragility of trust and the enduring resilience of familial bonds. Part 5. Confrontation and Realization. As my father, VDJTM's health improved, he began to spend more time at the office, trying to reintegrate himself into the company DRTM's affairs. It was NVDTM long before he noticed the changes Emily and David had implemented were NVDJTM as successful as they had initially seemed. Their aggressive strategies had alienated longtime clients and disrupted established supply chains, leading to unforeseen losses. My father called for a family meeting. It was a tense gathering, with Emily and David looking defensive while I sat quietly, observing the unfolding drama. My father, usually composed and authoritative, appeared worn and weary, a shadow of the man who once commanded respect with ease. VDJ David, VJKJ, he began, his voice tinged with disappointment. VDJ, the company is struggling under your leadership. We need to reassess our approach. GKJJ, Emily DTSM's face flushed with anger. VDJ struggling? We VGTM are remodernizing, something this company desperately needed. It VJTM's not our fault if some people can VJTM handle change. DJKJ David nodded in agreement, his expression smug. VGN, exactly. We've DJTD are positioning the company for future growth. You can VDJTMT expect immediate results. DJKJ, I couldn't VJTMT stay silent any longer. VDNJ future growth? At what cost? UVDJTMT are tearing apart everything this company stands for. The people who built this place are being treated like relics. That VDDTM's not how we do things. DJK. The room fell silent. My father looked at me, a mixture of regret and gratitude in his eyes. VGN Alex is right. DJKJ, he admitted. VDJNJ, we need to find a balance. We can VJTME disregard the foundation that VDJTM's been built over generations. DJK, Emily scoffed. VDJNG, so what? You want Alex to take over now? Is that it? DJKJ, I shook my head. VDJTM's not about taking over. VDJTM's about working together, respecting the legacy while adapting to new challenges. This company can thrive if we combine the best of both worlds. DJKJ David VDTM's expression darkened. VDJNG, you think you can do better? Fine, let VJTM see you try. DJK. My father intervened, his voice firm. VGNG enough. WevGTM are going to make some changes, but WevGTM are going to do it together. Emily, David, you have your strengths, but so does Alex. We need to unite, not divide. DJKJ. The meeting ended on a tentative note of agreement, but I knew it wouldn't be to be easy. Trust had been broken, and rebuilding it would take time and effort. Yet for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope, VJ, a chance to mend not only the company, but also the fractured relationships within our family. Part 6. The Turning Point. In the weeks that followed the family meeting, we attempted to forge a new path together. My father, Emily, David, and I held regular strategy sessions, trying to align our visions for the company. It was an arduous process, fraught with disagreements and compromises, but gradually we began to see progress. Emily and David, albeit reluctantly, started to acknowledge the value of the company's traditional practices. They began involving longtime employees in decision-making processes, tapping into their wealth of experience. This shift in approach helped rebuild trust and morale among the staff, who had felt marginalized and undervalued. One particularly challenging project brought us to a pivotal moment. We were negotiating a crucial contract with a major client, one that could secure the company's financial stability for years to come. The client's representative, a no-nonsense businesswoman named Margaret, had been a loyal partner for decades. She was wary of the recent changes and expressed concerns about the company's direction. During a tense meeting, Margaret voiced her apprehensions. I've seen this company grow under your father's leadership, Alex, but these recent changes, VGA, I'm not convinced they're for the best. Can you assure me that the values we cherish will remain intact? Emily and David exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to respond. I took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. Margaret, I understand your concerns. The past few months have been turbulent and we've made mistakes, but we're committed to preserving the core values that have defined this company. We're learning to blend innovation with tradition, and we value partners like you who have been with us through thick and thin. Margaret studied me for a moment before nodding. That's what I needed to hear, Alex. I'll give you a chance, but I'll be watching closely. The contract was signed, marking a significant victory for our renewed approach. It wasn't just about securing a deal. It symbolized the potential for a balanced, united future for the company. For the first time, Emily, David, and I felt like we were working towards a common goal, despite our differences. My father, witnessing this newfound cooperation, seemed to regain a sense of peace. He saw the company he had dedicated his life to evolving in a way that honored its past while embracing the future. Our personal relationships were still fragile, but there was a growing sense of mutual respect and understanding. Part 7. A new beginning. As the months passed, the company began to stabilize under our unified leadership. Emily, David, and I learned to appreciate each other's strengths, and our collaboration yielded positive results. The blend of innovation and tradition created a dynamic environment that reinvigorated both the staff and our clients. My relationship with my father continued to heal. We spent more time together, not just discussing business, but also reminiscing about the past and sharing hopes for the future. The wounds of betrayal were still there, but they were slowly being overshadowed by the renewed bond we were forging. One evening, as we sat on the porch of the family home, my father turned to me with a serious expression. Alex, I need to apologize again. I let my desire to reconnect with Emily cloud my judgment. I see now that I made a mistake in sidelining you. I shook my head, feeling a mix of emotions. Dad, I understand why you did it. You wanted to bring the family back together. And in a way, it worked. We're stronger now because we faced this challenge. He nodded, a tear glistening in his eye. You're right. I just wish it hadn't taken such a toll on you. I'm proud of the man you've become. And I know this company is in good hands with you leading the way. Those words meant everything to me. They validated the years of hard work and dedication I had poured into the company. More importantly, they signaled the mending of a rift that had threatened to tear our family apart. As the company continued to thrive, so did our family dynamics. Emily and I found a newfound respect for each other, recognizing that we both brought valuable perspectives to the table. David, too, softened his stance, realizing that cooperation was far more beneficial than competition. The transformation wasn't just within the company walls. It extended to our personal lives as well. We started having regular family dinners, where business talk was off limits, focusing instead on reconnecting as siblings and as a family. My father's health improved steadily, and with it, his spirits. He even started mentoring me again, sharing his wisdom and insights in a way that felt less like an obligation and more like a genuine desire to see me succeed. In the end, the challenges we faced brought us closer together. The company that had once been a source of division became a symbol of unity and resilience. We learned that true strength lies in the ability to adapt, to forgive, and to work together towards a common goal. Looking back, I realized that my father's decision, while painful, had ultimately led us to a better place. It forced us to confront our differences, to communicate openly, and to build a stronger foundation for the future. The journey was arduous, but it was also transformative, shaping us into a family and a company that could withstand any storm. And so, as I stood in the office one evening, watching the sunset cast a warm glow over the city, I felt a profound sense of peace. The company was thriving, my family was healing, and the future looked bright. We had come through the fire stronger and more united than ever, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. Are you ready for the next story? I poured years of my life into saving our struggling family business, only to be stabbed in the back. Watching it collapse now is the sweetest revenge. I poured years of my life into saving our struggling family business, only to be stabbed in the back. Watching it collapse now is the sweetest revenge. I practically dedicated my whole life to that business. I once had a promising career in tech that I walked away from to rescue the business during its toughest times. But my family repaid my dedication by naming my brother the sole heir. This was the biggest betrayal and the most disrespectful act I've ever endured. So, I decided to quit and forge my own path. The way things have unraveled for my brother and the family business is, frankly, the best revenge I could have asked for. To give you some background, my great-grandfather started a small importing company that had been handed down through generations. Both my father and grandfather invested their sweat and blood into building it up, and things were going pretty well. But when I turned 24, disaster struck. My dad was in a horrific accident that left him with severe brain damage. He was paralyzed for nearly 2 years, and my brother and I had to step in to run the business. My brother, however, didn't want the responsibility and bailed, but I couldn't abandon something my father loved so deeply. My great-grandpa died when I was about 9 or 10, and I knew he would be heartbroken if no one in the family stepped up. At that time, I had just started a promising tech job, but I chose to leave it behind, a decision I still don't regret. I devoted the best years of my life to the business, working tirelessly to make sure it thrived. We weren't hugely successful, but we saw the best profits in decades. Yet all my hard work was for nothing when my brother, who had never worked a single day at the company, inherited it. It was a complete shock. My father passed away last month, and in his will, we found out that he had left almost the entire company to my brother. Despite still holding the title of CEO and receiving a generous salary, the business now belonged to my brother, and all final decisions rested on his shoulders. It caught me off guard, and I must admit, it was incredibly disappointing. I had poured my heart and soul into the company, and my father's decision felt like a betrayal. When I asked my mother about it, she revealed that Dad had discussed this with her before he passed. That revelation hit me like another blow. Their reasoning was that my brother needed to learn responsibility one way or another, and they believed my guidance would benefit him. My mom tried to reassure me by pointing out that my income wouldn't change. But for me, it was never about the money. I felt my hard work had been disrespected, and I deserved better than this situation. I wasn't interested in babysitting my brother and bearing all the responsibilities while he inherited and became chairman of the board. After much deliberation, I made the decision to resign from the company. I couldn't imagine working alongside my brother, and fortunately, I had substantial savings to fall back on while I figured out my next career move. With my experience and reputation, finding a new position wouldn't be a challenge, so I wasn't worried about that aspect. I quit before my brother even began his role. Let me tell you about my brother. Even as a child, he showed laziness, irresponsibility, and a knack for wasting money on frivolous things. He loved to splurge but never bothered to. He never bothered to earn a dime growing up. We were well off, and he adopted that lifestyle without considering how to sustain it. Frankly, he took money for granted. As I mentioned earlier, he refused to step up when our dad fell ill and needed someone to take charge of the company. Despite this, I held out hope that he would change his ways and make sound decisions now that he was the sole inheritor. I tried to offer him advice, but he always brushed me off, insisting he knew what he was doing. He was irritated by my resignation and rudely asserted he could manage on his own. It soon became apparent he was in over his head. He began squandering the company's funds, hiring unqualified friends for key roles, and hosting extravagant parties to impress them. Meanwhile, customer dissatisfaction was growing. Within a few months of taking over, he decided to pursue manufacturing, which had been my father's dream. I had deliberately delayed this due to complications I foresaw. Predictably, my brother proved unqualified. Less than 6 months after my departure, the business came crashing down. The inferior quality of the products resulted in substantial losses with no distributors willing to carry them. I was aware of the unfolding disaster through industry gossip, but then former colleagues started reaching out, pleading for my return to salvage the company. Initially tempted to assist, I reflected on how my brother had treated me and squandered everything I had worked so hard to build. I concluded he needed to learn a hard lesson, so I chose to observe from afar. The pinnacle came when my brother finally contacted me, admitting the company was in dire straits and requesting my help to turn things around. I asked if he would step down and let me take charge upon my return. His refusal, coupled with a higher salary offer, confirmed my decision to leave was justified. It was never about money. It was about respect. Now, the company teeters on the brink of bankruptcy. His friends have abandoned him, and most employees have either been fired or quit. It's a sinking ship. I admit there's a part of me tempted to gloat. After all, my brother had made my life a living hell while I was working at the company, and now he was getting his comeuppance. However, I couldn't ignore the fact that bankruptcy would have serious repercussions for the hardworking employees. It also pained me to see a business that had been in our family for generations reduced to nothing. Despite this, I don't regret quitting. Wow, I'm overwhelmed by the response to my post. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. It's been heartening to read your comments and realize I'm not alone in this situation. I've taken some time to figure out my next move, and I think I have a plan. I do want to start my own business eventually, but for now, I'm looking to leverage my skills and experience in a new job. I'm excited about this journey and will keep you all updated on my progress. Finding a job shouldn't be too difficult, but you never know with this economy. Wish me luck. It's been a few months since my last update, and I'm thrilled to share that I've found a new job. It's not exactly what I was expecting, but it's more than enough for now. The transition has been challenging, adjusting to working for someone else and not always making the calls. However, it's been incredibly fulfilling. Many of you have asked about my brother and the family business. There isn't much left of it. My brother sold the company and is struggling financially. He had to sell his fancy cars and the townhouse he bought. I don't know where he's living now, and I'm not in touch with my mom either. Thankfully, my dad left enough for her to live comfortably. I'd help her out if she ever needed it. My issue is with my brother, not her. It's a shame what happened, but I've moved on, and am excited about my future. Thanks again for all your support. It means a lot to me. Hey everyone, it's been a while since my last update, and I have some great news to share. I'm working on my startup. After nearly a year at my job, I've gathered the necessary resources to get started. I have a small team of dedicated employees, and we're working on some exciting new projects. It's been a lot of hard work, but I'm so happy with how things are turning out. As for the family business, it's officially gone. It's a sad ending to a long legacy, but sometimes things just don't work out. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned, and I'm looking forward to a bright future. Thank you all for your support. It's been an incredible journey.